It is my distinct pleasure and honor to be able to introduce the recipient of the 2010 Bendy Marcus Award, Mr. Paul Rogers, President of Rogers Cinema Theaters and President of NATO of Wisconsin and Upper Michigan. Before I ask Paul to the podium, I'd like to tell you a little bit about this award and about the man who's being honored with it here today. The Ben Marcus Award, named after my father, was also the chair of NATO of Wisconsin and Upper Michigan for many years. An extraordinary showman and industry leader, he was also a man of great character, strength, and resilience. So it's fitting that this award honors people who exemplify his very spirit. The recipients of this award not only represent the best of our industry, but also are outstanding contributors to the quality of life in their own communities. This award is specifically to honor the person who has shown dedication and loyalty to the exhibition industry and has promoted and enhanced the movie-going experience. A person of strong moral and ethical character, both on the job and also in their personal life. Paul Rogers is indeed such a man, and I'm pleased to not only call him a colleague, but also a good friend. Now let me tell you a little bit about Paul. Paul Rogers is chairman of the board of Rogers Cinema Incorporated, a Marshfield, Wisconsin-based company. He's also president and national director of the National Association of Theater Owners of Wisconsin and Upper Michigan, a job that he has done with great distinction and accomplishment for the last 15 years. Paul has worked and been involved with motion pictures his entire life. He began his career in the show business in 1964 as an usher for the Adler Theater Company. In 1970, he became general manager for Adler Theaters. In 1972, at age 24, he purchased the company's Marshfield operations, a single indoor and drive-in theater, and that was coincidentally the same age that Ben Marcus was when he opened his first movie theater in 1935 in Ripon, Wisconsin. Paul always considered it a great accomplishment that even with his limited resources, a bank would lend him $250,000 so that he could become a movie theater owner. A year later, Paul was elected to the NATO of Wisconsin and Upper Michigan board, and he began the youth movement in the organization known as the Young Turks. One of the things I'll always remember is Paul's frugality, which is similar to my father's. A great example of this is the time he converted a vacant gas station into a movie theater in Stevens Point. It reminds me of turning gas stations into Kentucky Fried Chicken stores. I've always known that Paul was diplomatic in his business dealings, but most of you are probably not aware that Paul spent 3 years in the service to his country, stationed at the American Embassy in Rangoon, Burma, for which he was awarded the Joint Services Commendation Medal. Those were the only years in his adult life when he was not working in the movie theater industry. Today, Paul can proudly look at the circuit he built. Rogers Cinemas are located in 8 cities with 53 screens throughout Wisconsin and Upper Michigan. He still resides in Marshfield, Wisconsin, but spends a great deal of time at his Tomahawk, Wisconsin lake home and his Florida homes in the Fort Myers area. Florida homes, and multiple? Paul also spends a great deal of time and effort on civic and philanthropic work. His generosity is evidenced by the fact that he insisted that this Geneva Convention is not a fundraiser for NATO, but that the proceeds be given to charities such as Will Rogers and Variety. Paul, on behalf of the Geneva Convention and NATO of Wisconsin and Upper Michigan, we're proud to present you with the 2010 Bendy Marcus Award.
You all don't know how lucky you are. I'm not going to speak too much. You know, with all the tragedies I've had in my life, and not having children and all that, you people are my family. I've been struggling all week with, I know it's hard to believe, I don't know what to say. It's got to blow you all away, and I really get speechless, but I've been thinking all week, you know, life is like a book, a movie script. Has many, many chapters, and you have many, many memories. And we keep adding to the book, to the script, and this is another great memory for me, and truly an honor. You know, I think of some of the memories of going back to where I was when John Kennedy was killed, and watching Charles de Gaulle on black and white TV, following our president, giving me a sense of duty, honor. And I think of when I met Admiral Sharp. I was an aide to him in Hawaii. He was the predecessor, before John McCain's father was the commander-in-chief of the Fleet. And then I went on to meet Lyndon Johnson and Young Yong Yu, and all the Vietnam War was going on, and all those things. And then I went to Burma, and my home was directly across from the American ambassador's home. And because the Burmese government was and it's still to this day, a very, very repressive military regime. I was in the military. The senior officers were all allowed to come to my home without getting permission from their government. So it ended up that I gave most of the social events directly across from the American ambassador's home, so all the bigwigs from the military could come to the party. Because if they got an invitation from lowly me, they could come. But if they got it from the American ambassador or someone higher ranking, they couldn't come. So I had some wonderful, wonderful parties and experiences going way back when I was very young at 18. And I got to meet wonderful people. My first ambassador was Arthur Hummel, who was, that was his first post, and then he followed George H. Bush as the first career diplomat ambassador to China. And my boss was a one-star general, and for 20 years after I got it, by the way, they were devastated when I decided to come home. Betty Adler had written me a letter and wanted me to come back and take over the theater company. And I had been out of the country for 2.5 years. And I finally got homesick, and I knew where my love was. And so I came back, but it always amazed me and made me feel good that my boss, he was a one-star general. For 20 years, he came once a year near Christmas time, and we had dinner at Century World in Stevens Point, and things like that. And then, of course, after I bought the theaters in 1973, I was called by Larry Bells from Wausau, and said, "We need youth on the board."